Alright guys, it's Billy here and welcome to the next stage of our XP-38 custom build. This is stage 5-ish, I think. I don't really remember. It depends on how I edit the videos together, and they're all kind of running together. So instead of giving it a numerical value of a stage, we'll say it's the next stage. Some of the things that we've done since we last spoke is I put another little nose cone on the intake of the engine there, and as I told you last time, that's just the bottom part of a Sharpie marker. You can see here that we've put some seats into it. They're not exactly Recaro seats, they're just little pieces of crap that I made, but it was just a little piece of extra wood that I had in my shop, and then I put some super sculpted clay over the top and just kind of molded it. It's not a really good job. One thing that I noticed that's kind of funny is that these are very reminiscent to me of Star Trek New Generation, the poster they had there on the Enterprise. So it's kind of a blasphemy having this Star Trek-y looking thing and a piece of Star Wars equipment, but it'll get a paint job and it'll get stuck inside here in a bit. But there are seats. We haven't glued them in yet. As you can see here, I put another piece of craft foam, just thin craft foam, around the edge there. There were a few reasons that I did this. One is I wanted to bulk it out a little bit in the sides so that our canopy looks a little bit better and it fits on there a little bit tighter. Two, it helped kind of cover up any imperfections that I had underneath. And three, I wanted it to have kind of the rounded edges. So that's kind of a reminiscence of our original XP-34 LandSpeeder. So that's why I did that. There's also a little piece of wood there that I glued on there. You can see it gets a little bit more dimension. It kind of reminds me of an old like a hood scoop on an old 60s hot rod. Let's get these seats out of here because they keep wobbling around. And that's about all I've done. As you can see here, our hood piece here is kind of an off-white, yucky color thing. And the reason that it is that way is because I took a watered-down wood glue. I took wood glue and I watered it down, and then I painted it on here. And what that does is it helps seal the craft foam. It's really porous and it really doesn't paint all that well, but having that watered down wood glue really helps seal it up. So it looks like crap now. It's all yellowed and dingy looking, but once we get it painted, it'll be all right. The thing that I'm running into, the problem that I've run into, is the canopy. My original idea was to have an opening canopy, and then I realized that as this thing's going along, I was going to have a little bit of difficulty opening it, so I decided to seal it. Then I made the seats. They made me laugh because they're just so silly, and I really didn't want this thing not to be able to open. But then I noticed something else because of the kind of the low profile of the canopy. My action figures actually don't even fit inside this thing anymore. I first thought it was because my seats were too big and too bulky, but I tried to put them in here without even seats in the thing, and they still, I can kind of give you a little demonstration here if Luke will cooperate with me. But even without the seats, the canopy just won't close on them. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this into the workshop downstairs, and then I'm going to basically cut kind of a T-top out of it. And I'm going to leave a middle piece there because it kind of reminds me of like 1960s Batman, how the passenger and driver side were separated. So I'm going to keep a little piece right there in the middle. We're going to cut this out, and that way not only will it'll be playable, we'll be able to get the figures in it, but it'll look pretty much true to my original vision of what this thing will look like, but our figures, their heads will just stick out a little bit above the windshield. Hey guys, it's Billy here. Welcome back to our XP-38 build. As I previously mentioned, the X-Wing fighter was going to be my inspiration, my color scheme inspiration for our XP-38. So here it is in a more final paint design right there. It's our XP-38. To be honest, am not too thrilled with it. To me, it looks like a space ambulance. But we've still got a little bit of work to do, but let's get started and talk about what we've done so far. So we have it here, and as you can see, I went with the T-top design for the canopy. I still haven't attached the canopy, and that's simply because I have misplaced my glue to attach it, so I don't have any way to get it to stick on there, but we'll get that in a little bit. I'm not sure if I'm going to keep the T-top design, or I may just cut the T part right off. I don't know yet. But here is our close to final paint scheme. As I said before, it looks like Ghostbusters or something. I don't really like it. It is basically just modeled after our X-Wing, but I had a lot of issues with painting this thing. The biggest issue was the deodorant caps here that I used for the engines, because they did not take paint for anything. And, well, that's to be expected. Who in their right mind spray paints deodorant caps? Probably no one ever has. I'm probably the first person on the planet that's ever done that. So the paint actually kind of came off, you can see. But, you know, it gives it a kind of a weathered look, and we're going to distress it a little bit to make it look a little bit more authentic. But the overall idea, I like. It's okay. But the vehicle itself is a lot brighter than I expected it to be. The paint turned out a lot brighter. And that's because I originally started using Tester's model paint. And I've been using this since I was a kid, and I'm not really sure why, because this stuff isn't that old, and I made sure that it was all mixed really well, but it was incredibly thin, and it ran everywhere, and it just was just a mess. So I couldn't be very accurate with it, so I went and then I just used just acrylic craft paint, and the problem with that is it shows brush strokes and stuff, and so it makes it a little bit ugly. But you can see here we put some details into the engine right there, some color that actually rubbed off. I kind of like the way it looks, so I can get it in focus. The paint rub it off. We put some painted the nozzles for the exhaust there. We put a little bit of stripes and stuff on it, and we got our seats in the vehicle and got the interior painted all up. So my next stage of this build is I am going to give it what's called a weather wash, which you use really thin paint that's been thinned out with thinner, and it should give it a much dirtier look. It hopefully will get it to about the color of a snow speeder. Kind of a off grayish white, because this is it's really too bright, and I'm not a big fan. Since I very first started building this, and I posted the very first video, I have a few more subscribers, and I'm all about community involvement in this. So if you guys have any suggestions on what I should do with this thing, please just drop me a comment, because to me this is not a super display piece. It's not supposed to be this great Star Wars collectible or anything. It's just some goofy thing that I made just to learn a few things about making models and just kind of changing Star Wars things up. So I'm all about just goofing off with this thing and experimenting with it, and then we can, you know, as a team, see what we can do. But that's it for the build. For right now, we're gonna do a little bit of weathering on it. Hey guys, we're back. It's going to be a little while before I post any more videos regarding the LandSpeeder, because where I want to display this thing, I want to make a really silly diorama called Greeter Speeders, which is the Mos Eisley workshop. And here is our proprietor and main salesman of Greeter Speeders. This is Greeter himself. So he's the slimy speeder salesman. I also have her, and it's Wisely, I don't remember. But this is actually the character that sold Luke, or bought Luke's LandSpeeder off of him in New Hope. Really ugly, bug-eyed alien thing. But we're going to do a full-on, goofy, really silly diorama just built around the speeder, and make this a dealership and have all our favorite Star Wars figures in there. And we're going to do some fun stuff with that. In the meantime, if you are a fan of the X-Wing fighter, my channel might be something that you're interested in, because I have 7 of these type X-Wing fighters as well as an action fleet and a model, and I'm going to be doing a pretty thorough review. As you guys can tell, that's the 2011 trench run X-Wing. It's the most updated version, and I have from this all the way back to the original mold from Empire Strikes Back. So that should be pretty cool. So any thoughts and suggestions you guys might have on how I can improve this, whether you need me to just toss it in the trash or just blow it up, I don't care. But yeah, leave the comments below, and we'll see what we can do. So thanks guys, thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next video.